that. It's 4K on the X, it's 1440 on the S. We do lock it at 30 because we want that fidelity. We want all that stuff. We don't want to sacrifice any of it.
Okay, so that was Todd Howard of Bethesda talking about how Starfield is going to be locked at 4K 30 FPS on Series X and PS5, and how it's going to be 1440p on the Series S locked at 30. Of course, on PC, you can go up to 60, and they say that at no point did they ever think to themselves that they wanted to sacrifice fidelity. The problem is, and this is going to sound controversial, okay? I'm going to mute this and just kind of let it run in the background just for something to be whatever there. I'll have a link down below in the description box so you can hear the whole half-hour interview if you want to do that. My problem is this, and I've said this before. Everybody's always like, oh, 4K. Is it 4K, bro? 4K. I don't care if it runs at 10 frames a second. Is it fucking 4K? I'm going to tell you something about 4K. Fuck 4K, okay? Fuck 4K, okay. Say that really quick. It almost sounds like a foreign language. I prefer, hear me out, 1080p. Ultra settings, further draw distance, and a rock-solid 60 FPS, hell, even 120 or 144. That, to me, is a better experience. But you could be saying to yourself, wait, some games at 30 FPS actually run pretty good, and I want that higher, extra little bit of whatever, with the anti-aliasing, the 30 frames, they don't care. They just want the 4K. Great. Have that as an option. A lot of games, a plethora of games, have a performance and a quality mode. He doesn't want to sacrifice. Do you know how much power it takes to run 4K? Everybody makes a big hoopla about 4K when I can promise you if you had HDR, which has a goose egg of an impact on performance on your hardware, is going to give you a much better experience. If you were to play Red Dead Redemption 2, for example, with HDR at 1080p, that bitch set to Epic or Ultra or Magnum, whatever the highest setting is, and you've got that HDR 1080p, I promise you with my life and my testicles that is going to look better than 4K with no HDR and running that bitch at 30 FPS. Okay? But people, like I said, have different preferences and they don't really give a damn. I'm not saying you can't tell 4K from 1080p. That's not what I'm saying, but it is not that groundbreaking compared to HDR. It isn't. I'm telling you, 1080p is still not obsolete to me. So I don't understand why we can't have that. 4K 30 FPS or 1080p. You're trying to tell me if he can run that game on a Series X and a PS5 at 4K 30 FPS, you can't run that son of a bitch at 60 FPS on 1080p? Of course you can, and you could probably even increase the draw distance on top of that. It is absolutely insane how much extra horsepower 4K needs. And to give you, in my humble opinion, not necessarily that much of a better experience. I have a friend of mine who runs 4K 30 FPS on medium settings, and I see the gameplay and I'm like, this looks like donkey shit. Meanwhile, crank it up at 1080p Ultra, it takes less resources on your hardware and it looks better. Now, of course, if you could have ultra-wide 4K HDR 144 frames. Well, yeah, you know what kind of computer you'd need for that? Exactly. So my biggest gripe, my biggest take that I want to leave you with when it comes to this whole thing, this whole scenario with Starfield or any other game, 4K 30 FPS should never, ever be the only thing that you offer to gamers as a game software developer. Always have that option to run at 60 FPS. You can run the same graphics, like I said, or probably even increase the draw distance, drop the resolution down to 1080p. Okay? Like, it makes no sense to do that. or to not allow those extra features. That way, we can go back and forth and argue 4K 30 FPS is better than 1080p at 60 FPS, but there doesn't need to be any of that. There doesn't need to be a discussion or an argument or a debate or even a conversation about it. Just allow the gamers to choose from those settings, and you literally appeal to everybody. Everybody goes home happy. And by the way, I have played with 4K. I'm just saying. I played some games on 4K. I had a 4K TV. It didn't have HDR. Played 4K, and I was like, oh, wow, that's really crisp. Then I'd switch. Okay. Tried a 1080p panel. Had the HDR. And I was just completely floored. Absolutely floored. Oh, and unless you go, in my humble opinion, on a TV, and depending on the distance you sit from it, unless it's like a 37 to a 42 inch and above, I don't find it's as drastic of a difference. So I play on a 32 inch LG monitor that's like 144 or something hertz. And for me, this is it. I mean, I play most of my games at 60, but to me, it's more than sufficient. And I've seen 4K 32 inch, I think it was, or 27 inch. And again, the smaller the screen, the less impactful that 4K is going to be. Do not underestimate the power of HDR. Again, if you can have 4K HDR and you're running a PC and you've got the money, sure, go for it. But in my humble opinion, if money doesn't flow out of your ass like diarrhea, it is not worth the extra coin to bang out 4K at 60 FPS. And these developers should not be trying to, justify what. Well, it's locked at 4K, but we didn't want to listen. EA's PGA Tour Golf that just came out, they did the same bullshit. What the fuck's on your face? 4K 30 FPS. Now they said, you know what? Whatever. Now we have an option for 1440p and it runs at 60. And to be honest, can't really, tell the difference. I'm just saying. Enough of that rant. Again, a link down below in the description box so that you can listen to this if you want to, and to credit where I got this information, this interview from. I am excited for Starfield. I got a PC, a Series, a PS. Good for me. I've got the platforms. I'm sticking to console personally. Unless I have to play on PC, I prefer to play on console. I'm weird that way. It's just simpler. I just prefer it. Okay? Everybody's got their thing that they prefer, and that's okay. Let me know down below in the comment section what you think, for two reasons. Because I care, and the ulterior motive because the more engagement on a video, the more likely I am to get a couple of extra views. So I could probably make a nickel on each video I upload. As always, if you liked the video, go ahead, give it a thumbs up. It does greatly help support the channel with the algorithm. And if you didn't like it, go ahead, give it a thumbs down, bend it in half, twist it, break it off in your ass, and you'll wake up in the middle of an unknown planet. And if you want to subscribe to the channel, naturally, that would be great. But if not, thanks for stopping by anyways. Take care, and maybe I'll see some of you in the next one. Bye for now.